An extraordinary US military raid has stunned the world, with US President Donald Trump ordering military strikes on Venezuela and the capture of the country's President Nicolas Maduro. The operation was planned and rehearsed for months, but carried out in just a few hours. Tonight, Maduro has been moved to a New York detention centre, awaiting trial on drugs and weapons charges. There's been shock and condemnation from around the world, but on the streets, some Venezuelans are celebrating the end of the Maduro regime.
Led down step by step, Venezuela's captured president arrives on US soil, flanked by dozens of federal agents. A bound and blindfolded Maduro, now awaiting trial at a detention centre in New York with his wife, on charges including narco-terrorism, smuggling cocaine and having possession of machine guns.
Happy New Year.
This was one of the most stunning, effective and powerful displays of American military might and competence.
That display of American firepower lit up the night sky in Caracas. With a dramatic overnight operation in Venezuela's capital, raining down fire on the city in the early hours of the morning.
Suddenly, I heard a bang. I went to look out the window when I saw another blast.
More than 150 US aircraft knocked out air defences, so military helicopters could deliver troops to swoop in on Maduro's compound.
I mean, I watched it literally like I was watching a television show.
US President Trump watching along from his Mar-a-Lago resort as the action unfolded, calling the operation one of the most successful in US military history, but offering few details about the future, only declaring the United States is now in charge.
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper and judicious transition. We're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night.
Washington says it will also take control of Venezuela's vast oil reserves, which are the largest known deposits in the world, and open them up to American companies. But with the caveat that they invest billions to rebuild the country's oil infrastructure, which has been crippled after years of US sanctions.
These events come after an escalating pressure campaign, the US attacking vessels allegedly smuggling drugs and seizing multiple oil tankers off Venezuela's coast. But their latest actions have thrown the country into more uncertainty. Maduro's vice president, sworn in as the country's interim leader, denouncing what she called an illegal kidnapping.
There is only one president in this country, Nicolas Maduro.
He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man.
Venezuelans based abroad celebrated the end of a brutal regime. Crowds cheering and dancing in the streets.
We are free. We're all happy that the dictatorship has fallen and that we have a free country.
But others back home demanded the liberation of their leader.
I feel rage about what's happening to my president. I love him very much.
Democrats have been scathing about Maduro's capture, calling the military action unconstitutional. But the administration is declaring a job well done.
The 47th President of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when he tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it.
Actions which have brought on the end of a regime but plunged a region into chaos. Rachel Clayton, ABC News, Washington.
The United Nations and regional leaders say the capture of Maduro sets a dangerous precedent, with questions over the legality of the US operation. Here's the ABC's Global Affairs editor, Laura Tingle.
Donald Trump has hailed the US capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro as a historic display of American power. The operation stunned the world, both for its scale and its apparent disregard for international law. While few leaders say Maduro will be mourned, many have distanced themselves from the US action and warned it sets a dangerous global precedent. The United Nations says the move undermines the rules-based international order. Trump has gone further, threatening Venezuelan officials and leaders in Cuba and Colombia, raising fears of wider regional instability. Until now, even harsh critics of Maduro warned that regime change could trigger violence, repression or a power grab by armed groups and hardline generals. Venezuela is already in economic freefall, forcing almost 8 million Venezuelans to leave the country in the last decade. The US claims Maduro leads a major drug cartel, but Trump's interest in Venezuela's vast oil reserves is clear. What happens next will shape the region and define Trump's legacy.
The developments in Venezuela have been met with mixed emotions in Australia. Many in the tight-knit Venezuelan community have welcomed the removal of President Maduro, but there is still confusion and anxiety about what lies ahead for loved ones back home.
The streets of Caracas are virtually empty, but the supermarkets are full. Locals have been queuing for hours as they prepare to hunker down.
We're here getting provisions to take home because we don't know what's to come.
Venezuelans in Australia are anxious too.
We are happy for the actions that happen, but it's tense. We don't know what's going to happen.
Today, some gathered in Melbourne after comforting frightened loved ones during the strikes.
They gathered all of the mattresses, dinners, pillows and whatnot, and they essentially created a fort for themselves.
Sydney woman Maria Alejandra Ocando left Venezuela 8 years ago and hopes this will mark a turning point in her home country.
It's something that needs to be done and finally has been done. So this changed the game, changed the history.
In a statement, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese urged all parties to support dialogue and diplomacy in order to secure regional stability and prevent escalation. Opposition leader Susan Lee welcomed Nicolas Maduro being taken into custody, describing him as an illegitimate president.
This afternoon, protests are taking place around the country, including here in Sydney, where this rally is deemed unauthorised in the wake of the Bondi attack. Protesters are condemning the actions by the US and they're calling for the Australian government to distance itself from the Trump administration.
But in Adelaide, there were messages of thanks for the US president. Many who once lived in fear say they now live in hope. Fiona Willan, ABC News.